Welcome and thanks for joining us. My guests today are Nick Nyland, Director of Product Development, Verizon Public Sector, and Mike Majorana, Senior Vice President, Verizon Public Sector. Well, gentlemen, let's get right into it. What does 5G mean, especially for our government audience?
Well, John, Verizon is extremely excited about the innovation that 5G will enable for our customers, including our government customers. We're working very hard to engineer, build, design, and deploy a technology differentiator that will enable what we believe to be the fourth industrial revolution, connecting people to people, people to devices, and devices to devices. But 5G is not simply a software upgrade on an existing iPhone. There's a lot more to it. 5G requires significant fiber assets for backhaul to ensure the capacity is there for the throughput expected. 5G requires new spectrum. Verizon is calling our 5G launch or our 5G service offering 5G ultra wideband, using millimeter wave spectrum that will enable exponentially faster connections and exponentially lower latency to really enable some amazing outcomes for our customers. We need to work very closely with the cities and municipalities that we're deploying 5G in, as we need access to infrastructure and really strong densification of our cells to have the ability to connect the thousands of devices in such a small area to deliver on the performance that our customers will expect. And then finally, we need a device, a 5G device. Verizon has, in the late 2018 timeframe, launched a fixed wireless service for consumer broadband in 4 markets in America. And we're thrilled that last week we announced the first 2 of our 30 cities for mobility 5G, specifically in Minneapolis, just in time for the Final Four, and in Chicago.
Great. Well, you know, you go into an elevator and you hit 4 for 4G, 5, 5G. You would think it's an incremental increase, but 5G is like 50G or 100G, isn't it? It's not just a little change, is it?
It's completely transformational. Again, it's not simply a software upgrade on your existing phone. 5G will enable amazing business outcomes for government, for citizens that our government supports. When you talk about the low latency, the ability for AR and VR applications, the ability for video surveillance, the ability to deliver a real-time data and information to city managers, or in this case, federal government managers, to be able to provide the services that ultimately our constituents all will be demanding in the future.
So Nick, now we've got a new system that's faster, lower latency. Give us some examples in the federal government where this can be applied.
Absolutely, and I'm really excited for it. What Mike's talking about is not just an evolution in technology, it's that revolution that he mentioned, that fourth industrial revolution that's going to bring together the cyber and physical worlds. Mike talked about a couple use cases. We've had conversations with federal agencies across the country over the last few months, really thinking about what is 5G going to do for their mission, because there's a lot of excitement around 5G, but it's just a network, right? And it's a really powerful network that's going to change the mission and change the enablement of the mission for federal agencies. And some of those use cases we're talking about are very hyper-focused on the agency, but there's a lot of use cases that are broad across all of federal. And so those really come down to just a few, right? So one is fixed wireless access. So Mike talked about that. We launched that for consumers in 2018. And this is the idea of replacing fiber connectivity with 5G. And the federal agencies that are really going to benefit from that are agencies that have offices in buildings they don't own. And being able to get fiber into a building that you don't own is very difficult. But now with 5G, they can do that. Or offices where they're only there for a short amount of time, 3, 6, 9 months, and a fiber drop doesn't make a lot of sense. So 5G will give them very quick connectivity, fiber-like speeds. And then beyond that, we have agencies very excited about the expanded situational awareness that they're going to have with 5G. Mike talked about the speeds. those speeds can enable high definition or even ultra high definition video surveillance now, being able to be deployed not just where you have network, but anywhere there's 5G. And also on the other side of that, situational awareness could mean a better understanding of the physical world around us. So better weather forecasting or better earthquake monitoring with massive sensor deployments. And the last thing I'd say is training and readiness. The government is always looking to have a better trained, better enabled workforce. And through the low latency that 5G offers and the high bandwidth, you're going to be able to deploy better augmented reality capabilities for folks in their job and virtual reality, like Mike talked about, for folks to train.
And training is really key in this society, and this technology is changing all the time. Training is really, really important, isn't it, Mike?
Training is critical, particularly if you're looking to bring in the new talent and the next generation of federal IT professionals. These are people that have grown up using technology and have a high command of the technology and a high demand and expectations of what the technology will enable. When you are delivering training, solutions and services to any workforce, including government, you want to make it as interactive, as user-friendly, and 5G is the type of network that will bring in those amazing capabilities.
You know, Nick, what's interesting about 5G is that it's putting this technology on a plate in front of the federal IT user, and they can use for things we never can't even imagine now. I mean, the things are going to be, the AR, VR is just the start of what's happening.
Absolutely. There's the excitement of having 5G in my pocket now with smartphones, like Mike talked about in our Chicago and Minneapolis. But the really creative use cases, the innovators in this space, are thinking about things we never could have done on 4G, never could have done on legacy networks. And it's a matter of what other ideas do people have to better enable missions for federal agencies with 5G?
My guests today are Nick Nyland, Director of Product Development, Verizon Public Sector, and Mike Majorana, Senior Vice President, Verizon Public Sector. I'm your moderator, John Gilroy, on the discussion 5G, Modernization and the Art of the Possible for Government, sponsored by Verizon on Federal News Radio, part of the Federal News Network.